Howdy folks, we are here with another low elo game. This time we have Vinnyfontaine in the red, who's playing as Vikings. Vinny was around 200 or 359 elo at the time of this recording. In the blue we have Jay Tellis playing as the Franks, who was around 538 elo. We're going to be watching Vinny's perspective for this game. And immediately we have nothing. Ah, there we go. Alright, we got a house. We've got some villagers queued. Ignore the weird looking scout. I have some mod that I don't fully understand. You probably want this villager to be building a house as well, just so you have them both up. But that's alright. Got your berries. This is Golden Pit, by the way, so you can see the pit going on down there. These villagers, okay. Building another house. It's not the worst thing ever. You can see there was a little bit of idle time, but that was, I think, mostly because of the delay at the beginning. Not the most efficient use of your villagers, but at this elo, it's not the biggest deal. Of course, you do want to get them, kind of going back to work after they've built that house. Okay, we've got two more. You found the boar, you found the berries, you got your stone, one of your wood lines, a couple other wood lines. There's probably some more sheep around here. Now, the thing about Golden Pit, of course, is that most of the gold is in the center. You don't have a lot around your base. Going to wood a little bit early, and you definitely want to keep that villager production up. You can see you're actually ahead of the opponent, which is good. Actually, that's not a terrible time to go to wood. You've got the 6 on sheep, and now you go in here, you send in a couple more. It's not too bad. It looks like this player at least is familiar with some basic build orders, even though they're not executing them perfectly, but that's totally fine at this level. You can see the gold here. This is much smaller gold. You're going to get... Oh, there's some sheep. You're going to get the two 3-tile golds. This is not a bad place for gold either. And down here you can see just the massive gold piles. We've got another house here. Looks like they might be considering walling. Not a terrible idea. Again, keep that villager production up. You're ahead of your opponent. Try to keep it that way. 3 on wood. This is not the most efficient wood either. You can see this villager's now trapped in here and won't be able to drop off until probably this villager moves, because this one won't. So in order to fix that, you want to make sure for your starting villagers you put 2 of them on this side of the lumber camp and 2 of them on this side. So you see now she was trapped until that point. There's just a lot of bumping. I think now that's fixed itself. The villager AI has gotten a little bit better, but it still has some problems. Okay, scouting around here. This villager's idle now. You definitely want to grab those sheep, because otherwise you're going to run out. But the scout, just guarding the relic for now. Okay, not the worst thing ever. Okay, villager production, make sure to keep it up. There's a lot on wood. And here I kind of wonder if this build order falls apart a little bit here, if they were following one at all. Because at this point, you probably want to move over to your berries and start getting your boar. This villager's also been... Okay, there he goes. Nope. Okay. No, he just moved a little bit. Oh, there he goes. He's grabbing the boar. Nice. A decent use of him. And especially as your sheep's about to run out here, it's a good time. But keep that up. Keep that production up. You might think, okay, I want to save food for feudal, but you also want the villagers. Because if you don't have the villager count, then going up to feudal, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the new buildings, the new units. You're not going to be able to build things with them. So you definitely want to make sure that you're still producing villagers. Even though taking this whole boar will give you enough. Ah, there you go. Perfect. And this is exactly what you should do. If you realize you're getting to the point where you just keep forgetting to queue villagers, just queue a bunch of them. Alright, these should probably be on that boar rather than sheep. Boar collects faster. Where's the second boar? I don't know if you found your second boar. That's not good. Or do they only have one boar on? There it is. Oh, and this villager spotted it. Okay. I don't know where... Okay, time for another house. And you got the wood. I feel like this villager's time would be better spent doing something else at this point. Or if you are going to house in the front, like you did here for protection. But it's not the end of the world. Scouts going back here. At this point, it might be a good idea to go forward and try to find your enemy. You found all your resources. You've got a general idea of how your base is laid out. You've got a lot of villagers on wood. Like, really a lot. If you're planning on going farms very quickly, this does kind of make sense. And at this point, this is actually too many villagers. If you're going up for a scout rush or an archer rush, you want to be going up with like 20 to 23. And I guess you've got, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but this is definitely not the cleanest build. This mill is could be a little close to those berries. But good to be going to berries at this point, especially since you're about to run out of sheep. Honestly, these villagers, don't know if I'd have them all on wood at this point. Maybe, honestly, it might make sense to send 1 or 2 of them to gold so you could fast castle, or have them on the berries, or have them taking this boar, because you could put more villagers around that boar. But you have a lot of wood at this point. And it's not a bad thing to have a ton of wood. But especially considering that with these 5 villagers in queue, you're not going up anytime soon. What are you going to do with it? These villagers could be better tasked to something else. For example, maybe building a mill here and taking these deer. Or start building farms or going to berries. You need food. You need to be going up. Though, at least your opponent doesn't seem like they're doing much either. This scouting, they just want to make sure that they get all of this found out. Still haven't found the opponent. They're probably somewhere over here. And that would be a good thing to do at this point, because you need to know what they're up to. They could be halfway on their way up and preparing to scout rush you, and this base is not ready for scout rush. We now have 14 villagers on wood. We have almost 1,000 wood. That we have 1 villager gathering food. And now all these villagers are going to wood. What do you need all this wood for? That's it. And that, you know, there's something to be said for, hey, I need to make villagers, and you are making villagers, and that's good. But you see your opponent's already on their way up. And you have 1,000 wood. What do you, if you need something for your villagers to do, which you do want them doing something, you need to think about, what do you need? What resources are you missing? And in this case, you're missing food. You're missing about 110 food. Well, that's 5 farms. Okay, forward barracks. I don't hate this, especially with all the wood you have, but you're going to need food. And this one guy collecting food is just so slow. It's going to take forever for you to get to feudal age at this rate. This is enough villagers on wood. And also, you know, you're no longer creating villagers. If you're not going to go up, you should at least be using that food to create more villagers. There we go. Farms. This is exactly what you want at this point. Either on the berries or on farms. Berries is probably a little preferable in most cases, but since you have so much wood, the farms are perfectly fine. Okay, your opponent's up. That's possibly a little bit concerning. That means you want to get up and... Okay, well, you're making villagers. It's not the end of the world. As long as these villagers... Okay, yeah, they're going to food. Yeah, you need that food. You're already behind. Going to gold, I don't hate this, but this is kind of dangerous, especially since you know your opponent is Franks and they are already up. That means they will have scouts. I mean, let's be honest, it's 500-year-old. They're not going to have scouts, but they should have scouts. And that means this is very vulnerable. This back goal will actually last you quite a long time. And just dropping a mining camp here should be perfectly fine for this. But a lot of farms, like in the farms, took a lot of villagers off of wood. These are good decisions. This is good now. Getting all these farms up, getting that food income coming in. You can see now you're getting a ton of food now. This is what you should have done earlier. Because if you'd done this earlier, then the second barracks is interesting. If you'd done this earlier, you would already be up by now. but getting that good food economy is great. And Vikings are very good with their economy too. So, because you're a little bit behind us in the end of the world. Okay, we're getting loom. Loom is good. And now you can go up. And you can see how fast that food came in once you got that economy going. Once you got all these villagers on berries and on farms, that food just came in like that. Alright, now time to go up. You got the buildings, you got the food. This should be your priority. And I have a feeling that you're looking somewhere else. You might be looking over here. You're not looking at your scout. You're probably looking somewhere else. Going up should be your priority, especially if your opponent's ahead of you. And now you have so much food. There we go. Okay. The barracks is an interesting opening. If you're planning on making spears for dealing with the scouts, that's probably smart. Maybe drop a couple spears here, maybe over here. You're not really very walled. And especially because... Oh, wow, okay. Well, you're not planning on getting housed. This is not terrible. You could have walled with them, though. Wall with those houses and just gets a little bit of protection. I mean, this technically is a wall, but it's way out here. So you gotta think, what is your plan now? You know that Franks are well known for their cavalry. Vikings are well known for their archers. So going archer pike or archer spear, not the worst idea. You're already in the center. Especially on Golden Pit, it's not uncommon to go fast castle and then just drop a castle in the center here to kind of claim all this stuff. Castle here protects all of this, and you don't want your opponent to be able to get it, especially not as now they're catching up to you with villagers. So yeah, I'm curious to see what is your plan, and you got to be thinking about this as you get really close to feudal age like this. What is your plan? What do you do now? And you've gotten lucky. Your opponent hasn't come forward, but you should assume that they would, especially on an open map like this. Okay, we're in feudal. We've got villagers going for market. Okay, and this, you actually have the resources for fast castle at this point. If you just, there you go, drop the blacksmith. Love it. Fast castle's a really good idea. At this point, maybe send some villagers to stone. Because if you send them to stone now, by the time you get to castle age, like maybe 3-4 villagers, by the time you get to castle age, you will have enough for a castle. Not fond of the militia. Not fond of the man-at-arms. I mean, personally, myself, I am very fond of, actually, infantry. But I don't like that in your situation. And that's mostly because you don't have really the resources for it. Oh, now you've kind of screwed up your fast castle by getting all the economy upgrades. So now you're behind in food. That's not the end of the world, but... yeah, like, what are you going to do with this army that you couldn't do going fast castle? I like the spearmen. The spearmen make sense for defense. I don't fully understand these barracks over here, though. 5 barracks is a lot of barracks. Unless you're planning on staying feudal literally forever, you will not be able to produce from all of these. And so it's a little early to add them, especially when you could be putting more into farms. You also should be going up at this point, because you have the resources. Oh, okay. We've got another barracks back here. So that means we've got 7 barracks in total. 2 here, 1 here, and then 3. Where's the other one? How do we have 7? I don't get that. 1 over here. Okay. There's a barracks over here too. This, and you go in castle. Okay, that's good. This doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense. There's a lot of barracks. Okay, you fancy your opponent is walled. They've house walled this whole thing. You're not going to get in there. As we see this little army going forward. The thing is, too, at this point, your opponent, if they're not hitting you with scouts, they're going fast castle, or they should be. Oh, they're going for scouts. Okay, well. Okay, we recognize your opponent also doesn't really know what they're doing. But in a normal game, your opponent would be going fast castle, and they'd probably be pretty close to castle age at this point, which means they would have something to counter this. They would have knights, which counters this. But this is a nice little raid here. Go in, you can tell their town center is probably somewhere around there. Now you're you're out of wood because you've unbalanced your economy again. You moved all of these people over to food and did not keep up with the wood, and now you're focused over here. This is an important thing too. Infantry don't require a ton of micromanagement. If you just leave them here, they'll just start attacking this, which is fine. You can see there's a lumber camp there too. Just come back, fix your eco, come back here. But you know, you can see you're definitely paying a lot of attention here. They're still going to scouts. You've actually got a really good... Oh, this is great for you. This is great for you, because your opponent is going to lose a lot. You are going to lose some units here, and that's totally fine. But this is still really good, because you don't want to vil fight men-at-arms. They're just really good. Okay, you're taking down this. Having the spears in there is really nice. Yeah, this is great. They just lost a ton of villagers from that. There goes another one. And like you see, they can fight this, but this is idle time for them. This is lost villagers. Like, they lost 4 villagers there, a couple scouts. They're still in feudal age. Yeah, you're in great position. You're in castle now. So, now what you got to do, this is good, long swordsman. Get your economy straightened out. You've got 11 idle villagers, which means you can't take advantage of your castle age. You need, if you're able to get in the next 5 minutes 20 longswords in here, you probably win this game, because 20 longswords can take this town center down. But you don't have the food economy for it, and you're also only creating out of 1 barracks. You built 7 barracks, and you're only using 1. Not great. You could take a couple villagers off of gold. Gold, you don't need a ton of gold for this, and it collects really fast. Get them over to food, get them over to wood, keep producing your villagers. You're in kind of a tricky spot now because your economy hasn't caught up to where you are technologically. Your eco upgrades, getting those are good. I'm definitely not saying that's a bad thing, but you need to get your idols under control, and you need to get your economy under control. This villager just kind of chilling here now. Not sure what's going on with this. Maybe you wanted to try a sneak base. Honestly, a sneak base back here, drop a couple of barracks. Well, you already got a ton of barracks, but drop a couple of barracks here, put a ton of longswords, and just run through here. They won't expect that. It's a great tactic. But the problem you're running into right now is you just don't have enough of anything. And, you know, we run into this problem a lot. This is not a big enough invasion force. Longswords are tough. They're really tough, and your opponent's still in feudal, so these will do really well. But you want at least 10 or 15 of them. You get 10 or 15 of them, you will just destroy everything in that base. Because what do they have now? They're still not castle age. You already hurt their economy quite a bit, so you know you're ahead with that. And they've just been making a bunch of scouts. And spears are good against scouts, but longswords are also really good against scouts. You can see they do really good attack. But you just need more of them. You need numbers. And that's becoming a problem right now. You're getting your villager count up a little bit. Now might be the time to drop a second town center. Maybe in here so you can start gathering stone. You need to get that production up. And you have the wood at this point. Unless, what did you just build? You just built something. Did you just build another barracks? No, you just built a bunch of farms. Okay, well that's not the end of the world. Farms are good. You want? Oh no, okay. University and monastery. That. See, now here's the issue. Now your opponent's going to castle age. You were in castle age 6 or 7 minutes ahead of them, and now you've completely lost that advantage because they're going up as well. And Franks, when they get to start getting to castle age and start getting to imperial, their cavalry is extraordinarily good. Just really, really good cavalry. And as Vikings, you don't have a ton that really helps with that. I mean, you've got your pikes, you've got your longswords, but you don't really have a lot that counters them well. Okay, they're about to engage with you. And you can see, like, how well your longswords do against this. Just shredded. Now imagine you have 15 of those because you had the... Like, look at how much gold you have here. This is so much gold. Buy food. Get longswords. 15 longswords, 20 longswords. You take out this town center. You destroy everything here. You win the game. And now, very, very quickly, they're going to start making knights. And knights are an effective unit to fight longswords with. Yeah, you're getting some Vil kills is good, but this army is pretty much dead at this point. Well, you know, if they ever actually decide to make units. And also at home, what are you doing at home? You've not made a single villager. You built these buildings, you're not doing anything. You're still very focused on this raid, which makes sense, you know, it's fine. Oh, this castle, I bet you can deny this. Oh, very nice, very nice. See, again, 10 longswords easily deny this. Right now, you're going to lose units to the castle. They're going to be able to build from this side now, and you can't stop them, so this castle's going to go up. If you had 15 or 20 longswords, you could totally deny this and take that out. But you don't have them because even though at this point you now have the resources. So you got to be building. So like, let's say I'm here, right? Hit your hotkey to get all your blacksmiths or barracks. Click them forward, set your gather point here, and just start hitting the hotkey to create units. You know, you can do that. You can easily do that. And that's what you got to do, because when you're focusing here, you got to keep streaming in units. You got to keep your villager production up. You should not be ignoring your base just because you're trying to micro units around. You can do both. It takes a little bit of work to get it done well, but you can do it. And now you've kind of lost your chance. Okay, now the units come in again from a single barracks. One barracks, and we've got Imperial. Okay. Again, Imperial's not bad. You could definitely go for a second town center here. You've got the resources. You need more villagers. At this point in the game, you probably want to have 50 or 60 villagers, which you can do if you have a second town center and the first one produces constantly. You're starting to get kind of inefficient wood lines here. You got people going all the way over here. So your economy is kind of falling apart, and I know there's a lot to look at. Because see, these guys are just going to town in this low elo mining camp here. There's a lot to look at in this base. Oh, there's the town center. Perfect. That's exactly what we want that to be. But you need to be making these decisions a little bit earlier, and you just need more. Like, the decisions you're making are really good. Okay, get to castle, build infantry. Yeah, see what's over here. This is fine. Go up to imp. Get some more longswords, but you're just not making them quickly enough. Oh, nice. This is a good town center, too. But, again, you need to be producing units out of these. You've got the pop space. You've got the food. Just hit your town center hotkey. Queue up some vills. You've got this one making Imperial Age, but you've got 2 other town centers that could be making villagers. Set them to stone. You know, set them to gold. You're not going to ever be at a point, usually, where you regretted sending your villagers to stone or gold. As long as you've got enough. And your yard, maybe want a little bit more on food. And maybe drop some farms around here. Maybe drop some farms around here. Because especially if infantry is becoming your play, then you want a lot of it. Now you can see your opponent's making throwing axemen. That's kind of unexpected. I love this. I wouldn't be expecting Franks to be going for throwing axemen. They're not a unit you see that often. Okay, now we're making villagers out of all the town centers. This is excellent. This is exactly what you want to be doing. Your Vil count's going to shoot up. Vikings have amazing economy. You're an Imperial. This is great. Okay, so now you see throwing axemen. Throwing axemen do tremendously well against infantry. I don't remember if they have a bonus against infantry or not, but they do ranged melee damage, which is a little bit confusing at first. But it basically means that they're not considered a pierce damage unit. They're not considered an archer. They're considered a melee unit, and very good against infantry. Two-handed swordsman, I could understand if maybe you hadn't seen that. Oh, you know, those were axemen there. At this point, seeing that your opponent's going for that, you want to move out of infantry, because if they're going heavy into two-handed swordsmen, they will wreck all of your infantry. Two-handed swordsmen and knights, they're going to wreck your infantry. What you want to do now is go into archers, because you know what's really good against two-handed swordsmen? Archers, because they shoot from way further away. Not two-handed swordsmen, throwing axemen. Throwing axemen have a really short range, so archers do really well against them, and Vikings are actually known for their archers. This castle's kind of interesting. I don't hate it. It's protecting some stuff, but it would be better here or here because this just commands more area and protects your town center. Right now, someone could come in and raid here and you've just got the town center for protection. Having a castle here would be huge, especially with Franks, who are known for their ability to raid. Your villager count's looking good. You got to keep it up, though. Keep these town centers producing. You've still got this. You've got a bunch of villagers, inefficient lumber camps. You want to take a look at that. This is kind of a weird place to be sending your villagers here. You want to send them to a resource. For example, you want to send them to stone because this guy's just going to stand here until you tell him to do something. Incidentally, this villager who is here has now moved up to here and then stopped again. I think this happened about 10 minutes ago and they just haven't moved. This is a really great button. You can just see where all of your villagers are, and it might help you see, like, hey, I've got a villager way out here that's not doing anything that could be doing something. Another really small army going forward. This is 6 units. You don't raid with infantry like this. If you've got knights or you've got scouts, this is a raid because you're expecting them all to die but just get some value. You don't raid that way with infantry. You need to raid with a lot of infantry. You need like 20-30 infantry. If you have 20-30 infantry, you will do some serious damage to your opponent. It does not matter what they have. We've got this lumber camp all the way over here. I mean, you know, it's an efficient lumber camp. I don't fully understand why it's all the way over here, but that's okay. We've got a second castle coming. This isn't the worst, and you can see these infantry to protect. Again, this would be better because at this point they're probably taking gold and stone here, and you have no idea. You have nothing to stop it. Dropping something here would just keep all of this out of their hands. Resources-wise, good farming eco, good stone, good gold, good wood at this point. So now the problem you're running into is now look at your opponents going Imperial Age. You were at the point where you were in Imperial Age, again, 10 minutes ahead of them, 5-10 minutes ahead of them, and you have not done anything with that. You've not gotten Trebs. You know they have a castle here. You know they have some stuff here. You've not made any... you've not taken advantage of that tech spike, and that's a bit of a problem. Viking Eco will get you to that point really fast, but you need to do something with it. You see how many resources you have here? At this point in the game, you should not have 2,000 gold. You need to be actively attacking your enemy right now, and you should be attacking them with 30-40 units. You should be streaming in units. You have, at this point, you should have 7 barracks, and you should be using them all. If you have 7 barracks coming in, I guarantee you will be 1 castle producing throwing axemen, even though they defeat you. And that's just kind of numbers. You know, numbers will help with that. Oh, looks like they've got 2 castles, but still, you need to be producing something. You know, the economy game, not too bad. You're building houses, you're getting relics, you're building villagers, you've almost got 100. You've got, wait, look at your opponent's vill count. They've got 37 villagers. That's just stupid. You should be flattening them, but you're not making anything, and that's kind of the problem. You've got Trebs coming in, that's good. What are you going to Treb, though? You don't know what your opponent has, and you barely have... They have a bit more army than you at this point. Now they're in Imperial Age with more army than you. You need the army. You need to get your army out. This is still very easily winnable with you. You have just an amazing economy. They're trying to catch up, but they haven't done it yet. Okay. This is interesting. You kind of know there's a house wall here, but you don't really know anything else. So I'm not sure why you'd be doing this. It looks like you're sending villagers over here as well. Okay. Moving around. And you can see this gold is almost gone. This gold is being taken. They are definitely in the center now. You can almost guarantee it. Okay, you're going to treb down a house. I mean, it's not the worst use of a trebuchet. I've heard of getting a lot of upgrades. Good with the technology upgrades, and now we see berserks coming in. I mean, I don't completely hate the berserks, but against cavalry, I wouldn't make berserks against cavalry. especially Frankish paladins, which they can get to at this point. So you can see now, oh, that's a lot. And at this point, as soon as you see this, this is when you stop making infantry. And I'll show you why. You've got all this infantry here. You can see these guys are doing nothing against this knight. Now just see how quickly this goes down. Yep. This whole army just dies, and they barely accomplish anything. Well, that also is because they're just running around like this. Okay, you know this army exists now. You know they're over here. Archers. You have so many resources. You could easily just start building 3 or 4 ranges right here. Start getting the upgrades for crossbow. Start getting the blacksmith upgrades. That's not great. That's not great, and this is why... Yeah, you've kind of lost map control at this point. You don't have the military, and now blue player knows that they can defeat your armies in battle. They're making their own trebs. You had a lot of time to prepare for this, and you just gathered a lot of resources, and you didn't really do anything with them. You've got so much stone. But it's not going to matter now, because all the castles in the world, they can just treb them down. You can't even take this treb out, because now that army's probably... Yep, there it is. The army's right there. That army's actually heading over here now. And you can see you've got 7 units here and 2 trebs, which should be taking this town center out. That gets flattened by throwing X-Men. This is a good raid, but this should not be your only army. This should not be your only source of units. And now we get the archer ranges in. Perfect. Archer ranges and siege. This is actually definitely what you want. At this point, I wouldn't be going for elite berserk. That's really expensive, and you shouldn't be making berserks anymore. And this is why you shouldn't be making berserks, because they're throwing X-Men here. Yeah. The elite berserk, not a great idea. Very expensive. Archer ranges are good. Start getting that crossbow upgrade. Start getting the arbalist upgrade. Start getting the blacksmith upgrades. You could easily, with these resources, pump out an army of 50 to 60 arbalists in the next 10 minutes. And then you would destroy all this. Look at, they barely have any armor. And a range of 3. You know, you don't see many knights on the field. Frankish knights are very good. We're not seeing paladin. It looks like they're focusing on this, which means that if you, again, still go for arbalist and halberdier, you're going to be great. Pikemen coming in, that's a good choice. Still not seeing anything with this. This needs to be your focus, because pikemen is not going to kill those throwing axemen. Also lucky that treb hasn't moved forward to take everything else out, because they should definitely see all this stuff, and this is very weak. You have 2 military now. This guy's still not doing anything. What is this? Chieftains. So chieftains is an upgrade for your berserk, which again you should not be making anymore, because berserk just die to this. Yeah. A mangonel would be really good at this point, but you can see against arrows they just die. Now imagine you had 20 crossbows at this point. Yeah, you would still probably lose a lot of those crossbows, but you take out a ton of these. Chieftain's Elite Berserk is not going to do anything against this. You don't have the numbers. Pikeman is not going to do anything against this because there's just so many of them now. And now they've got 2 trebs. Skirmisher is not the right thing. These are not ranged units. Yes, they attack at a distance. They're not what the game calls ranged, which means they actually have a different armor type. So skirmishers normally do a ton of bonus damage against ranged units. They will not do bonus damage against these. They're just going to do, well, they have 2 armor, so they're going to do 2 damage against them. So you can see, they're just not doing that much damage. This is a good attack. They weren't expecting that. But yeah, this even if at this point, let's say you just never went archers, and you just made nothing but barracks units at this point, if you had all of your barracks producing, you could still beat this. Even though these counter your units, you can see they don't have that many of them, which is also kind of their mistake. But you've got to actually build them too. You're going to take out these trebs, this army is going to go down. And you can see that the Elite Berserk not really doing that much. throwing axemen, just like, and you might be saying, oh wow, these are overpowered. No, they're not really. This is just, you're building the very unit they're meant to defend, they're meant to counter. Okay, the villagers, you know, surprisingly good against trebuchets. I don't know, you have to use them though. But you can see, it is actually taking a while to take down these elite berserks. Even so, even though how many they have. So if you just had more of them, you either need different units or you need more of units. And you've got neither. You're trickling in small units. Capped ram isn't going to be great either because, again, these throwing axemen are doing melee damage. Capped rams have 199 range damage, which means they take 1 damage from archers, always. You know how much melee armor they have? -3. They take 3 additional damage from melee, which means if this guy throws his axe, it's going to take 9 damage plus 3. It's going to take 12 damage. You can say, oh, it's 190, not 199. That treb was not the worst idea, but he dies very quickly. These trebs are never going to be able to do anything. Yep, you got that. But that's, yeah, at this point, you can still win this. You have so many resources, and they're slowly pushing. Drop a bunch of archery ranges back here. Toss it. Just make a bunch of archers. You'll be fine. You're still... This unit is not winning for you, and you're still making it. This is also a problem. This guy's been standing there for forever. This guy's been standing there for forever, too. You have the economy. You still have... Like, they've gotten up to 73 villagers, and that took them an hour to get there. You can use this. You can't... You have to be able to change your tactics. If you see that the units that you're making are not working for you, you need to make more units. You see now elite throwing axemen coming in. This player is all in. Oh, I love this. This is great. And these trebs up here. Yeah, the pronged attack is great. And they really should have not left their trebs alone, because now those trebs are going to die. But these units are no longer working for you. They are getting countered very easily. And you need to be coming up with a new strategy. You need to be making something different. You could go into cavalry. Cavalry are a little bit better, and Franks are known for their cavalry, so I wouldn't really go cavalry against Franks. But at least you'll be able to close with those throwing axemen much more quickly. You won't have to chase them around as they just snipe you off. You'll be able to get in close and surround them and kill them. What you should not be doing is going champion, and I don't know what barracks that's coming from. Okay, we've got more over here. We've got light cav. Light cav is not terrible if you're going to raid. So if you're going to send these light cav in here, great idea. If you're going to send them against those throwing axemen, they're going to die. Light cav are weak. They're not meant to be super strong. I don't know why you built a lumber camp here, but not one here. That's interesting. Okay. You sent I don't even know when this happened because I wasn't paying attention, but you sent 18 villagers over here to build a monastery. And they did that obediently, and now they're not doing anything. To be fair, it's not like you need the resources, but what you could be doing with them is building a bunch of production buildings here. Build a bunch of stables here. Build 20 light cav, 30 light cav, because you have the resources, and just run them straight through the front of this base into their wood line. You will do some crazy damage to that eco. Okay, so now we've got champions, which there must be some weird mod making that look different too. These look like centurions. Okay, champions, great. You see how slow they are? You know what's really good against champions is Frankish throwing axemen. You know what you've been seeing this whole game is Frankish throwing axemen. Now you've got a lot of champions. That's a good thing. Producing a ton of these, keep producing them because you could get 60 of them. 60 of these, 60 or 70 of these champions, yeah, you still win the game. Even though they're countered by throwing axemen, the opponent doesn't have enough throwing axemen. But you can see, like, it's... Okay, let's see how Champion... Yeah, see, Champion does not do so well against this, especially with 3 Frankish castles. But again, let's say you had 60 Champion. You would still trade okay with this, just because they do so much damage. But as it is, this is not a good situation for you. Now you're housed somehow. How do you have... Okay, you have all these idols here. Where are your other idols? Okay, one here, here. These are the same ones. Okay. Oh, hey, look at this guy. You finally realize he's here. This dude has been here and here in this area of the world for like 40 minutes at this point. He knows this area backwards and forwards. And you're saying, hey, let's build a castle. Totally fine. Totally legit. Building a small base out here, I like it. What are you going to do with it? You have a bunch of pikes. 24 pikes, which are just going to get completely destroyed by the throwing axemen. Your opponent, for some reason, doesn't have Paladin yet. But even Paladin is going to beat this, because Frankish Paladin especially, but pikemen just don't do enough damage against Paladin. You're making a ton of skirms, which is still the wrong unit. Light Cav, which is also going to get killed by the throwing axemen. You have so much military at this point. The problem is it's the wrong military. And you should know this at this point, because this exact same unit combination has been losing in fights for the last 30 minutes. Oh, now we have Cavalier. A lot of Cavalier. These will go down. You do have the pikes, and that's really good. But your army is not going to last because they've got the throwing axemen behind it. Yeah, this battle doesn't go well for you, because you can see, look at these skirmishes. They do nothing. They do a little bit of damage, yes, but not what you need, not what you'd expect them to, because they don't counter throwing axemen. In fact, they get countered rather well by throwing axemen because they don't have melee armor. They have pierce armor because they're meant to be countering archers, and these guys do melee damage. Same with this cavalry. If you had knights now, if you had cavalier, you'd be doing better. And you can see these scouts are able to close and do a lot of damage, but they didn't get any kills because they're light cav. They're just not that powerful. So you've got 4,000 gold. It doesn't really even matter that you've lost the center still, because you've got so much gold. This castle will be temporarily denied, but I'm pretty sure these skirmishers are going to go down. Over here, we've got this castle, we've got Siege Workshop. You've got 30 idols now, which means almost half your economy is dead. You can see these skirmishers are actually able to get kills if there's a lot of them. So they're not terrible. Like, these are not invincible units. Look at their armor is terrible. But imagine if you'd had 20 or 30 archers. You'd just be taking these out right and left because they can't close with you. Archers would have 7, 8 range at this point, and they just wouldn't be able to close. Knights are good. You had 20, 30 knights, you'd be fine. Of course, they've got cavalier, but it's fine. And you can see this knight takes actually a lot longer to go down because it's just so heavily armored. The problem is you have one of them. You need numbers. It doesn't really matter what you're making, you just need to have more of it. And you've had all these production buildings. That's really funny. This trebuchet trying to take out the ram. Not doing a terrible job. These villagers still have not moved. They're not doing anything. You're producing units, but you're kind of tricking them in and you're producing the wrong units. You need to stage them somewhere, because the battlefield is here. You don't want to be trickling units into right here unless you've already got a beachhead set, which you don't, because you've got a lot of enemy units here. You are actually taking down these units, but they've been making more. They've got 76 now. There's a whole other army here. Oh, there's the whole other army. And you're still making champion. And you can see champion not doing so well in this situation. In numbers, they would. In numbers, archers would. This is going to die. Yeah, all of this. You know there's trebs here. You can still win this game. They're not pushing very hard. Back here, make 7 or 8 archer ranges. Just make a ton of arbalist. This poor villager. Just make a ton of arbas. You're still making champions when champions haven't, out of one barracks no less, when champions have not worked at all the entire game. This would actually be a good opportunity to counter trip, because these elite throwing axemen can't get under these castles without taking castle fire, but you can range the trebuchets. You can see right there, you're taking out a lot of them with that. Okay, still all these units over here. So over here you've got so many resources still. Are actually starting to run low on gold, but that's just because you're making a lot of units that are not cost effective against what your opponent's making. Like trickling berserks. Trickling anything at this point is just going to lose. And now your castles are going to go down. Honestly, I think we're going to speed this up a little bit because I think we know how this game ends. Okay, more cavalry coming in. Cavalry gets shredded. Trying to repair that castle. It goes down. Your military production building's going down. Oh, Paladin. Paladin's coming in. So the Frank player finally decided they should make Paladin and Cavalry, which is interesting. Okay, you've lost this chunk of your base. All the farms going down. Oh, it's kind of silly. Yeah, and this is kind of when you call it. You don't have the economy anymore to do anything. And Frank Paladins are in. Frank Paladin plus throwing axemen, you can't beat that because you don't have any military. So now this game is kind of over. Once I like this raid. Okay, this castle might actually go down because Siege Ram is really strong. Okay, nice, taking out the castles. Now the Paladins are here. They're saying they're probably kind of wondering where this came from. Look at this army though. That's a crazy huge army. Oh, nice. Took out 3 castles, so that's pretty good. Okay, what are they going to do now? I think they're going to realize this base is here. Finally, had these villagers do something. Got that relic. Knights. There's Frankish Paladin on the field. You don't make knights. Why would you make knights? They have double your HP. And what are they doing now? Okay, they're not doing anything. This guy, still not doing anything. Oh no! Okay, he's still alive. You're hunting deer over here, which is interesting. And see, those knights just go down. Dead. I don't know fully what blue's doing. Okay, they've realized this base is here. They want to take this base out. Trebuchet. Okay, your counter trebuchet. I like this. This is good. The counter trebuchet is good. All these knights are on protect stance for that trebuchet. Okay, now that's dead. Somehow they missed that villager. That's down. That's down. Okay. You wanna know my legitimate favorite thing about that? This villager's still here. This guy's been here for like 90% of this game at this point. He didn't die. He's still just sitting here. Blue doesn't know that he's there, which is amazing to me. Okay, your houses have been taken out here. Houses have been taken out here. Okay, rebuilding it. The game's kind of over though at this point. Siege Ram, everything they have beats Siege Ram. If you were making mangonels or onagers, I could see it working. You don't want more barracks though. Trying to take out these castles, not the worst idea. Frankish castles are super cheap though, so they've probably already rebuilt those ones there because there's a lot of stone in the center. And now you can see the house tactic is actually paying off, killing all these houses because you don't have pop space now. Okay, I don't think either of these castles is... Oh, this one might go down. Nope, does not go down. And the game. I'm actually a little disappointed at this point that Red called the game because Blue would have found this. Blue had found this. They were moving up here. Blue didn't know this guy was here. So this would have been the last villager standing, and I kind of wanted that to happen. But anyway, from Red's side, definitely I think the biggest mistake here was not producing enough military in the beginning. If you produce way more military, just gone on the warpath, when you hit Castle, when you hit Imperial, when you knew you were ahead, you just produced all the military, went forward into that base, you would have just hamstrung them and just destroyed their economy, and it would have been great. Then, later on, when they were building Frankish throwing axemen and nothing but throwing axemen, switch into archers. You had plenty of resources, so many resources. You controlled the middle for so long. You had so many resources, and just you needed to make use of them. Then, towards the end of the game, honestly, your units would have done okay if you'd had like 5 times the number of champions or berserks or whatever. You still would have traded okay. You just didn't have enough units. You were sending them in groups of 20 or 30 against 20 or 30 opponent units that countered them, and you never win that fight. Then, towards the end of the game, when the paladin came in, I mean, at that point, you're kind of hosed because you hadn't managed to take out the axemen, and you hadn't. And now they're getting paladin, and that means they had so much gold. 2 gold units is really powerful if you can actually make them, that you can't counter this in any way. Halberdier will counter these paladins in extreme numbers because there's a lot of paladins. Paladins, look at their armor. They have so much armor. They have so much health. They have so much attack. One-on-one, a paladin will easily counter a halberdier. But they also had anti-infantry units, so you just throw the paladins in front as a meat shield, and then you have the anti-infantry units behind. You can't counter that effectively anymore because, let's say even you go halberdier archer, the archer just gets swamped by the paladin, and the halberdier gets taken out by the throwing axeman. And it's just really hard to counter that at that point. So the best thing is to let Franks not get to that point. And you had that option. You had that ability. Like, the front of his base is still open. You were in here at some point, doing quite well, and just didn't follow up. So anyway, as always, hope that was enjoyable, and I'll see you all next time.